So it is 6 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome to the hybrid and in-person and virtual meeting for the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Central Frontenac. Just so everyone is aware, members of the public may join in person or virtually. And we don't have any in-person members here. So for those of you who are new to the Committee of Adjustment, my name is Susan Irwin, and I am chair of the committee. We also have with us to my left, Dan Meeks and Bill Everett. On my right, I have staff members, Kathy McMunn, our CAO, Abby McKinnon, and Jenny Kapusta, the planner. Beside Jenny is Duncan McGregor, counselor, and Lynn Clegus, and Chris Nelson, our communications officer. The format of the meeting will follow the agenda that is posted online. Our staff have also prepared a presentation for everyone to follow along during the meeting, and this will be shown on the screen. For each application with a public hearing, we will follow this format. I, as chair, will introduce the file so that everyone knows where we are on the agenda. The planner, Jenny, will provide an overview of the application. We will then ask if there are any comments from the applicant or their agent. Following that, committee members may then ask staff and the applicant or their agent questions, if any. And if anyone has joined us online as members of the public, they will have the opportunity to ask questions or provide comments. And I would encourage you to ask any questions you may have. The committee will then deliberate and vote on the application. Voting will take place with members of the committee raising their hands, or if they were attending online, they would raise their hands. I will then state whether the vote was carried. All members of the public will have an opportunity to provide comments on the new applications. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Central Frontenac before a decision is made, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. Please note that as of January 1st, 2023, only persons specified in the Act are permitted to appeal consent and minor variance applications. Township staff will be in touch following the meeting and will be forwarding a copy of the decision within 15 days to the applicant and to anyone who has requested to be notified. Should you have any questions after the meeting, we encourage you to reach out to staff. The applicant, the minister, or any prescribed public body who has an interest in the matter may, within 20 days of making the decision or date of notice, appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal against the decision of the committee by filing with the Secretary-Treasurer of the committee a notice of appeal. Chris Nelson will now provide an overview of how members attending virtually can participate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once the meeting is open to the public, the chair will ask if anyone has any questions or comments. Members of the public attending virtually will be asked to use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. This alerts us that you would like to speak. Staff will then notify the chair that someone would like to speak and then proceed to unmute your microphone. You will receive a notification that your microphone has been unmuted. Please wait a second after unmuting your microphone before speaking. If you're calling in by phone, please dial *9 when you would like to raise your hand during the meeting. You will hear a prompt on the phone that you have raised your hand, and you will be notified when your microphone has been unmuted. This afternoon, it looks as though we have 0 members of the public participating with us in person and 1 online.
In the unlikely event that we have connection issues and the meeting cannot be restored within 15 minutes, the meeting will be postponed and staff will be in touch with each applicant. A notice will also be posted on the township's social media, letting you know. So now we're moving to the formal agenda, and we need a motion to approve the agenda. And that, I believe, is moved by Dan Meeks and seconded by Bill Everett. All in favor that the agenda be adopted as presented. And it's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing just shaking heads, that's none, and that will be noted in the minutes. And the next matter is approval of the minutes from our March 14th meeting. Are there any amendments?
Yes, yes, there are, Madam Chair. In the minutes, the spelling of counselor, or actually the committee member, Nikki Gowdy, was incorrectly spelled, so that has been corrected. That is the only correction.
Okay, so we have a motion that the minutes of March 14th, 2024 be adopted as amended, moved by Bill Everett and seconded by Danny Meeks. All in favor? Carried. Moving right along, there is an item number 5, returning applications, number B-48-23 Kennebec, Wainwright, request to remove road widening conditions.
Madam Mayor or Madam Chair, as well as the committee members, this application that Mr. Wainwright has requested to remove the road widening conditions is not heard at the Committee of Adjustment. Committee of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board and body, so somewhat court-like in its operation. So you're charged with the observation, protection of applicable planning law, and also with protecting the rights of the individuals affected by the decisions made. With respect to Mr. Wainwright's request to remove the road widening condition cannot be heard because the committee has already made its decision and it has no further role. And the Latin word is called functus. Functus means that the function or accomplishment, they have accomplished the purpose and therefore of no further force or authority now that the decision has been made. So Mr. Wainwright has two options. The one option would have been that he could have appealed the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, which he did not prior to the, the time that the decision. So that has been removed. So that has lapsed. So the next one is that he can come before council because council is the authority under the Planning Act that can, make those decisions. As you know, council has appointed the Committee of Adjustment. So it's the same as in a court. If you went to one court and you disagreed, or you'd go to the next Supreme Court or whatever court, and the Committee of Adjustment works the exact same way. So, and I have just so that, and I spoke with Jenny on that. And in regards to certainly the sections in the Planning Act, and I think that's where people get sort of misunderstand, because Section 5323 of the Planning Act, it does say it talks about allows the council to change conditions at any time prior to final approval of a provisional consent. If the condition changed is minor, no notice is required. But if the condition is significant, additional notice is required. And I think some get hung up on thinking that the committee council is all the same thing, but it is not. So that's where the correction, and I have that terminology from the lawyer as well. So in respect to certainly the road widening, Section 5125C of the Planning Act, it also provides specifically that a condition may be required dedicating sufficient land to provide for the widening of a highway to such width that is considered necessary. And Jenny certainly has it in her report. that the official plan does spell that out as well. And I know that I have taken a copy of the local authority board in which they have made a decision in 2019. The same kind of decision, the same kind of requirement was asked of somebody to remove a condition off of a condition consents, and they upheld the decision that the municipality or has every authority to ask for that. So I'm just sort of bringing the committee up to date on that. Okay. I don't know if Jenny has anything further to say.
Only that I learned something that I didn't know because we've done it and I was unaware that council was not the same as committee in this case. Usually it's council or the appointed committee, but you'll always learn and that's what I like.
Well, thank you for that explanation. And we now know we're functus for that task. And are there any applications for consent?
No, there are not.
Then the next item on the agenda are applications for minor variance, and we have APPN 2024-0004 Harry before us. So turning it over to Jenny to speak to this matter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, just a quick note for the committee. You may have noticed that the application numbers have drastically changed compared to what they were previously. We're using the citywide system that the building department uses now for the electronic storage and filing. So it's a consistent application number across all items in the township, which makes it easier, but unfortunately, it also makes them a little bit longer. And you won't get the easy distinction between consents and minor variances, but that shouldn't matter, just in case you're wondering where that number came from compared to before. So this is an application by Mary and Simon Perry, their property on 113, I think it's 112. It is 11113, okay. I had a brief moment. Johnston Road. And they're applying for permission to expand an existing legal non-complying structure. The expansion proposed is the addition of a screen porch, 9 square meters in area, being added to the existing deck. So on the image on the screen, you've got the house in green at the bottom, the existing deck in brown, and the proposed screen porch in blue. As you can see, the shape of the existing deck kind of leads one to believe this was perhaps an intention all along, or a happy accident, I'm not sure. It fits in rather well with the hole in the deck and will be no closer to the water than any of the existing structures. So the application was circulated for review to Quinte Conservation Authority as it is within that 30-meter water body setback. And there were some areas of wetlands on the abutting property, but there are no concerns from the Conservation Authority. They look at natural hazards and there's no natural hazard concerns. As this area essentially is already used for recreation, there's no shoreline concerns. And they had no objections to the application as submitted. There's no septic approval required as there's no increase in interior living area, and there was no comments received from the public. Planning is recommending that if there are any comments today from the public, the committee hear those and approve this application subject to the conditions outlined in the planning report.
Thank you, Jenny. Is the applicant online?
Is online, yeah. Oh,
Any questions or
she does have her
comments?
hand up.
Sorry, I
Okay,
was just going to say, yes, I am online and I haven't anything further to add.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? No? Then we have a motion before us. Moved by Danny Meeks and seconded by Bill Everett, that minor variance application APPN 2024-0004 0004 Perry for concession 11, the west half of lot 15, Kennebec District, 1113 Johnston Road in the geographic township of Kennebec for the construction of a screen room addition to an existing legal non-complying structure that cannot meet the required zoning bylaw water body setback of 30 meters. All in favor? Carried. And I'll just read the final portion, that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. So this one is carried. Is there any other planning business before us this evening?
No, there is not.
Just a question. If we wanted to change the time of these meetings to be on Tuesdays before council meetings, say 5 o'clock, what would be the proper procedure for doing that?
That we'd have to amend, and certainly council would have to make a decision on that, if that's a reasonable time for them. And then we'd have to change the Committee of Adjustment procedural bylaw to change it to 5 o'clock. Okay.
And any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion for an adjournment?
Should be right under.
Oh,
Yep.
no?
Should be right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I can see better without my glasses. Moved by Lynn. Lynn Clagus, and seconded by Danny Meeks, that this meeting be adjourned until 6 p.m., June 13th, virtually and in person at Oso Hall, 1107 Garrett Street, Charlotte Lake. All in favor? Carried. And we are adjourned.